All right, we're recording now. And so I'll have to admit, I love this time of year. And part of the reason I love it is because I get to see my favorite movie. Now, you all know that I am pretty low class. And so this is my classy Christmas movie that I love every year, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I don't know why, but it resonates with me, and I can identify with so many characters in this story. So some of you are probably more classy than I am, and this is not your favorite holiday movie. So what I'd like for you to do is to drop in the chat and tell us, what is your favorite Christmas or your favorite holiday movie? Drop it in the chat and tell us your favorite Christmas or holiday movie. And Dr. Washburn, if you can watch the chat for us, that'd be awesome.
Yes, will do. They're coming in pretty quick. So I'm seeing Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, several Christmas stories. That was mine too. Elf, The Grinch.
Oh, yeah.
On two. So many good ones here. Bridget Jones's Diary.
Oh, that's not a Christmas movie.
Four Christmases. All of the Home Alones. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Christmas Chronicles. The Preacher's Wife.
Oh, yeah.
Polar Express. Rudolph. Lots of good ones here. Now, I have to admit that there's a version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that's like, I don't know how old it is, but it's not animated and it's not real, but they look like they're little felt figures. And it just creeps me out. I can't like that. That Rudolph is the weirdest thing, and I turn it off. I can't handle it. Charlie Brown's Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Claymation, that's what I'm talking about, Renee. I mean, Kimberly, the claymation one is the one that makes me feel all weird.
Oh, no. These are awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that everybody will have time this Christmas and holiday season to watch all of these wonderful movies, or to watch all the Hallmark movies if you're into those Christmas movies as well. And it is a really great time to spend together and to be able to spend it with you all. So as I said, today we're going to be welcoming the evaluation team. No better way to kick off the holiday season than to talk about evaluation. But before we welcome the evaluation team, we do have remarks from our very own Dr. Fox. So Dr. Fox, I'm going to turn it over to you for some remarks and thoughts.
It's indeed a pleasure for me to be here, and it's great to see FCS Connect in its second year and being so successful, and really a source of great information that connects the state, the regions, and the counties together as a strong FCS team. As I think about and reflect on this year, this is the time to do that, December and January, I really think we've gone through a lot in terms of being in COVID, coming back from COVID, having COVID, a new variant out, et cetera. And so our lives really we've been able to reimagine and reinvent and be flexible. And in everything I've seen, y'all have done an amazing job in being resilient, being flexible, and really addressing and always putting the clientele needs first. And so I wanted to just thank you so much for all that you've done in this year. I think as we look towards the future, I know as I write my goals, some of the goals that I'm writing are building that relationship between the county and the state and strengthening that relationship. We're lucky that it is as strong as it is, and we just want to do whatever we can do to build that up and make sure that it remains strong. Visibility and marketing is another area that I think we all can work collectively together to help tell the story of FCS and help people understand what we do and the potential of how we can serve the citizens across Tennessee, including those that are in our family. And so with that, those are two of the goals among some others that I hope to accomplish, but that I'm asking for your help as you see opportunities, as you see things that we can do better or things that we can enhance, please keep those lines of communication open. And thank you for all that you do. And I hope that you have a very, very blessed holiday season. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Chris and Lisa.
Thank you, Dr. Fox. It's great to have you with us. We really are glad that you're leading us through this challenging and exciting time, all rolled into one. So I'm going to actually stop my screen share right now. And Karen, let me make sure that you have the ability to share screen. And we're going to turn it over to you. Can you share screen right now, Karen?
Not yet.
All right, try it right now.
Yay.
All right. It's all you, Dr. Frank. Take it away.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here and to see so many people this close to the holidays. I really appreciate you taking some time to connect with us today on this presentation, and such an honor to be here and to serve the department. So I am just part of our FCS evaluation team. I have wonderful teammates, Ruth Wren, who many of you know, she's our data manager, and then Chantal Rose, who's going to be sharing some of the great work that she's been doing with our qualitative work. So the three of us work collectively to meet the evaluation needs of the department. Really, our purpose is to support all the good work that you do to show your impact and all of the outcomes that you guys do as part of your programming. And we're here as a resource for all of your evaluation needs, from needs assessment all the way to dissemination. So I hope you see us as part of the team and a way that we can help you with your programming. I know evaluation isn't everyone's favorite, so that's why we're here to give you support and help you show all of the great work that you're doing. So our team is fully grant funded. So what that means is we are involved in a lot of different grant programs throughout the department. And I just wanted to show here that we work with all of the knowledge areas. We provide evaluation support for these different projects and these different grants. We do different things like surveys and focus groups and interviews, just to show how effective these programs are and to hopefully have model programs that we can share throughout the country. A lot of our effort is focused on FNEP and TNCEP, and there's a really good reason for that. These are the two of the largest grants that we have collectively in the department, and they fund quite a bit of our time. So you can see here, two of our team are fully funded on these grants, and then part of my time is also funded. So, and there's, these grants have a lot of reporting requirements. There's a lot of people that are funded under these grants that we need to support. But that's one of the reasons why our team is so heavily focused on FNEP and TNCEP, is because they are such large grants and have these sort of stringent reporting requirements. So that doesn't mean that we can't help you with other projects. We will do our best, but know that sometimes it's going to be kind of outside of our scope because of the grant funding requirements that we have. So for a long time, FNEP and TNCEP has been heavily focused on the numbers. Ruth Wren was not able to be with us today, but I just want to give a shout out to her because she manages our database for a lot of participants. So when we're talking about over 21,000 participants, that's a lot of paperwork that she handles and a lot of data entry. And we're slowly moving to getting away from pen and paper, going towards more online surveys and tools for these programs, just to sort of ease some of that burden. But, you know, she does a lot of data entry, a lot of checking, and does a great job with that. To beef up our qualitative focus. So every year, every quarter, actually, I'm asked by our state funders for SNAP-Ed to get them success stories. And for a long time, that's been pretty difficult. So it was great to have a person who's so passionate about qualitative to collect that information. And she's been working really hard to come up with a great process. And she's been doing training to get a more systematic way to collect and share those success stories, to really highlight the impact that we're having on people and give it that personal touch. And she's going to be sharing a lot of the work that she's been doing. So many of you that have program assistants have heard about PAIRS, and you know, in extension, we love our acronyms. So this is our program evaluation and reporting system. So FNEP has had a national reporting system, gosh, for a long time now, probably 15, 20 years at least. And SNAP-Ed, or our TNCEP program, has not had a national reporting system until now. So this year, they decided at the national level that PAIRS was going to be our program evaluation and reporting system for SNAP-Ed across the country. And I have been working, and Ruth has been working, and Chantal has been working with our program assistants and our 100% agents, getting them trained into helping with some of the data entry for our TNCEP programs. So it's been a transition. I know there's been some questions and some issues with it. And I think everyone's coming along, and it's going to be actually a really great system and a great way to show everything that's been going on in our programs. So I just wanted to give you a glimpse, if I can here, of what the system looks like. Here we go. Okay. Here is one of the things that gets me really excited about PAIRS is that we have the ability at the state level to get a nice snapshot of what's going on in the counties. So PAIRS is designed, it's set up not by county, but by city. But you can see here in this nice map, it shows us just a really quick way of seeing where the activities are going on, what's been entered, and what type of activities are happening. So in PAIRS, program activities is what we call our direct education. And you can see there's also PSE activities and indirect. And a lot of this focus on this map are direct activities, because our program assistants are the ones entering the data, and that's what they do the majority of time that they spend. And it's just a really nice way at the state level, we can kind of get a visual of what's happening. And then we also have information about where people are doing most of the work. So it's not a surprise that the #1 setting is schools. Do a lot there. And we can get a good snapshot of how many people they're reaching, how many hours they spent in the education, and then how much time is spent in face-to-face, and then different methods like webinars and online. We can really see what's happening. Rather than having to wait till the end of the quarter and pull a report, I can go in, and Dr. Ward can go in at any time and look at this. Also see who we're reaching, what audiences we're reaching, and all of this information. Why am I showing this to you? Well, as agents, we have not been working with put in data into pairs. However, if you're doing TNCEP direct education and you're turning in paperwork to Ruth, Ruth will be entering this information into pairs so we can use it for our federal reporting. And if you're interested in having access to this, if you have a program assistant, or you're just interested in looking at your county and generating some of these reports, it's very easy for me to get you into the system. So I'm happy to help anybody who like to have access. We can walk you through how the program works, how you can pull some of these reports, and you can see the data that we're entering for you. So just feel free to reach out by email and let me know if you're interested in looking more at what you can do with pairs. Again, for FCS agents, we are not expecting you to enter data into pairs. We do ask that if you're doing any TNCEP activities, direct education, please, please, please fill out the paperwork and turn those into the state office. Ruth will get those entered. The paperwork's listed here. It's all on SharePoint under forms, the evaluation forms. If you have any questions, reach out to me or to Ruth, and we can get those answered for you. We really want to be able to show the reach of our programs, especially in FNEP and TNCEP. And, you know, these have been a rough couple of years with COVID. So our direct education numbers have really been suffering because of all the disruptions with the schools and our community partners. So we really want to, especially this year, 2022, show that we are coming back, that we're being resilient and continuing to reach our audiences. Going to turn things over to Chantal, and she's going to talk about the great work that she's been doing.
Dr. Frank, would you actually mind just using your PowerPoint that's loaded? And I'll
Not
just
at all.
advance the slides just for the sake of time. Thank you. Okay, so Hello, aloha. My name is Chantal Rose. I use the pronouns she, they. I've got short brown hair. Some of you may have known me with my very long hair, and I apologize, I have yet to update my photo. The pandemic made us do some crazy things. Anyways, I'm excited to be with you all today and share some of the cool stuff that we've been working on an evaluation. So as Dr. Frank said, my role when I was hired in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic was to really try to bulk up our qualitative methodologies. And so when I first started, I spent the first probably 6 to 12 months just listening, talking with agents and program assistants and specialists and staff, just trying to get an overall understanding of what was going on. My intention was to lead with data and really center the voices of the individuals and colleagues who are actually doing the work. So I've been so grateful to hear the incredible stories and the things that people are doing. And through that listening, our team has been able to develop some practices and processes that are systematic that we can start employing in all of our work to collect success stories and to really be able to share the really cool stuff that we're doing, because you all are doing incredible work in your communities and we want to be able to know about it and celebrate it together. So let's go to the next slide, please. So evaluation, as Dr. Frank had said, we've been doing a lot of numbers, right? That's quantitative data. We can quantify things. We use linear values like facts that we can measure, timelines, numbers that can be summed up or put into percentages and can be generalizable. And that's currently the major accepted method of teaching and sharing information and research. Qualitative information is different. It's more relational. Qualitative, when I think of qualitative, I think of stories and I think of narratives. Every single one of us has a story. We have a background. And I'm not going to dive into the science of stories, but stories truly are the backbone of our life. As humans, we are hardwired for stories. We have our own stories, we have our own lived experiences, and no human's journey is exactly like another's. We use stories to pass along learning, life-saving knowledge. Stories create and reinforce cultural standards and values. They help us build social bonds and relationships. And all of these stories and narratives help us understand the world around us. They help us understand ourselves and each other. And these narratives ultimately shape our beliefs and our opinions and our deeply rooted identities. That's pretty powerful. I love that Christopher asked us to share our favorite movies. Those are stories. We can see ourselves in those stories. We can not see ourselves in those stories, but learn from some of those experiences. Stories really are an incredible asset to us. And so while numerical and quantitative data is important for tracking our efforts and demonstrating our outcomes, identifying how closely we're reaching our goals and what else we need to do, the lived experiences and the stories of our partners and participants and our communities is critical to provide the whole picture, to provide connection and context. And so numbers inform and stories influence. And together we call that mixed methods. And using both numbers and stories, we can demonstrate our impact. Next slide. So this is an iceberg. Hopefully you guys have seen one of these before, but when you're engaging with your partners and participants in your community, what are we seeing? What are we hearing? On the surface, we're probably teaching about fruits and vegetables and physical activity, and we got to drink more water. And, we're engaging with individuals, with human beings and their experiences. And as we do that, we start to understand the very personal lives and personal choices of individuals and families. What we don't always see is on the surface level is what I talked about, but below that surface, there are seen and unseen barriers and facilitators that affect a person's ability to make and access choices and make positive changes in their lives. Knowing our audiences, knowing that our audiences that we reach out to here in TEDSUP and FNEP include vulnerable and marginalized participants, I believe that the responsibility is on us as professionals and educators to use that personal data and those personal stories with trust, respect, and transparency. And because those stories and those experiences are personal, it's really critical that we follow ethical guidelines to ensure that our partners and participants have a voice about how their information is collected and therefore shared. And so that brings us to ethical storytelling. Ethical storytelling is a new way of telling stories. It was created by a woman named Rachel Gable and a group of social impact professionals, and is essentially about creating a culture where people feel empowered and that their stories are portrayed with dignity and strength. Ethical storytelling is a method to get at the core of what is true and what matters by centering people, by centering humans, while also avoiding exploitation. The mission of ethical storytelling is succinctly described on the website. It's a fantastic resource if you want to go look at it. It's ethicalstorytelling.com, but their mission, part of their mission says, we aspire to tell stories that are truthful, nuanced, educational, and empowering, not just for the donors or our funders in our case, or for branding and for image, but because stories shape our humanity and our world. So we really believe that incorporating the principles and practices of ethical storytelling, it will allow us to really ensure that the information stories that we share are welcoming, that they're accurate, empowering, consensual, and really respectful. Our ultimate intent is really to encourage communities to collaboratively, imagine solutions to problems and co-create a different future. So there are several methods for collecting and communicating these stories, and we're going to share some of these with you. Dr. Frank and I have been working on a publication that we're hoping to come out soon that will explain this information in more depth. But when you're collecting stories, when you're engaging with your participants, the three main pillars that ethical storytelling would have us do is to seek continuous consent, practice transparency, and practice conscious curiosity. So continuous consent is actually a methodology used in qualitative research, but it means to always get consent and continue asking for consent throughout the collection and the creation process of stories and sharing. It's important to maintain the privacy of participants and partners. And like I said, many of the people that we work with are in very, terrible temporary situations. And we want to be respectful of people and their choices to share or not share their stories and lived experiences. And we don't want to be coercive. So always seek continuous consent. And consent to me is an enthusiastic yes. For those of you who know me. So the second thing is practicing transparency. We need to go to the source of the stories. We cannot make assumptions about somebody else's lived experiences. Let's be transparent about why we want to share their stories with others and how and where we're going to share those stories. The third part of thing to remember when you're collecting stories is about practicing conscious curiosity. So being mindful, taking a posture of humility and learning, knowing that we can learn from our communities. It means checking ourselves and being aware of our own assumptions, our own biases, our reactions, and our emotions, and encourages us to really strive to be respectful and non-judgmental, and use a trauma-informed approach. Next slide, please. And then when we have collected this information, the narratives and the stories and the quotes, when we're writing these stories, it is really important that we do these four things. One is co-create stories. The second is use empowered writing. The third is are two things to avoid, which is simplifying or over dramatizing and avoiding stereotypes. So what it means to co-create stories means invite the diverse perspectives from all of the stakeholders involved in the success. Another qualitative Practice is something called member checking, where you allow the people in your story to review the story that you wrote, to check in for accuracy and and validity. So help inviting your stakeholders who are included in the story to check the story and sign off of it and get consent is really important. And then again, we are not expecting everybody to be experts on all the different cultures and all the different things, but it's important that you seek the opinion of leaders and cultural liaisons in your community to ensure the ethicality of the story. The second suggestion is to use empowered writing. That's strength-based language, essentially. We want to frame personal challenges as temporary issues, not as a defining characteristic of an individual or a family. And we want to be aware of how sharing a person's story could place the sharer at risk for harm. Again, we don't necessarily know everybody that we're working with in their situations, but we want to be respectful of that. The two avoidance things to avoid are simplifying. So we want to make sure you include the nuance and complexity in every story. Don't twist or exaggerate a story, and then avoid stereotypes. It's important to avoid depicting ourselves and our organization as a savior that rescues people from their challenges. Rather, we are partners that support individuals and families and communities on their journeys. It's the individual who empowers themselves. And so we want to be really intentional about avoiding perpetuating misinformation, stigmas, and hurtful stereotypes. So in conclusion, the last next slide, please, is, as extension professionals, I hope that we will remember to be careful when we're framing and communicating stories internally with each other and to the public. We need to be careful about the perspectives and the biases and judgments we bring to the story and the actors and the people that we work with. It's important that we share stories that celebrate the triumphs of individuals and communities, that we share lessons learned in ways that are accurately representative of the complexities of being human, because we don't work with robots, we work with human beings, and it's messy and it's complex, but it's also beautiful. I hope that we can strive to use inclusive language that empowers individuals and communities and demonstrates the ways in which extension, education, and educators can be a resource and a support for improved health and well-being. And ethical storytelling goes far beyond the written word. These methods and principles can be applied to photos, videos, other visual images, and even music. At best, storytelling has the power to move people to action. It inspires hope. It influences connection and change, and has the ability to highlight strengths and dignities that can be found within the individuals and families in our communities and humanity at large. At worst, stories can sensationalize, they can stereotype, they can marginalize, and they can cause harm to those that we serve and work with. So it is our hope that ethical storytelling, if practiced, will allow us to move towards a more responsible, qualitative method of collecting stories that promotes equity, promotes belonging, and humanizes our outcomes and our impacts. It's been an amazing journey to be able to hear the stories of partners and participants in each of these counties, and the work that all of the educators are doing. It's pretty incredible. And I'll leave you with one reflection question, and that is, when you are in the position of storyteller, when you're sharing a story of somebody else that's not your own, ask yourself, would I be proud to share this story if it were about me? Something that you can keep in the back of your mind to help you as you move forward to collect and share stories ethically, with kindness, compassion, equity, and love.
Much. So here's our contact information. Please reach out to us if you have questions. If you have questions now, we'd be happy to answer them. Let us know about those successes. We'd love to be able to highlight the programs that you're doing. And as always, we're always here to help you with any evaluation needs that you have, or questions or concerns. Please let us know. We want to make your job easier and help out with evaluation in any way that we can. everyone has a great holiday. Thanks for being here right before our break, and let me know if you need it.
Thank you, Dr. Frank. Thank you, Chantal. You all, we are so fortunate to have our own evaluation team in this department. So we really are appreciative. Karen, Chantal, and Ruth, we really thank all of you. Are there any questions or anything you want to pop into the chat to ask Dr. Frank and her team before we move forward? Yes, Dr. Sedges.
Karen, that peers evaluation program, is that specific to just SNAP Ed programming, or can other programs, like, could it capture 15 states that are doing farmer stress intervention work, I guess is what I'm asking.
Oh, yes, it was developed specifically for SNAP Ed. Kansas State developed it, and they also do their extension reporting through it. So it's like our super.
Yeah.
But it's pretty narrowly confined to reporting requirements at the federal level for both of those programs.
Okay, thank you. You just saved us a meeting.
Great question, Dr. Sedges. Anybody else have a question, comment, thought?
So will pairs eventually connect with super?
I wish. That would be lovely. And we will continue to advocate for that. One of the great things about pairs is that they are so responsive. So anytime I've had a suggestion, they've really taken it seriously, and some of the things have been incorporated. So let's hope so. I would love to simplify things as much as right now, no.
Any other thoughts or questions?
I put it in the chat, but I would really encourage y'all to reach out and make your regional program leader aware, or the state 4-H, not state 4-H, state FCS office know about the great things that you're doing. You know, Denise Schaefer gave us a great story, and it's getting played over and over and over. So let us know the positive things that are happening within your FCS programs, so we can really brag on y'all, but also provide the general public with just the great things that are happening.
Other thoughts or comments? Great presentation, you all. All right. Well, I did the teacher thing and counted to 3 a couple of times, actually. So that means that we can move right on along. I'm going to go ahead and go back to sharing my slideshow. And can you all see everything? Dr. Washburn, can you see that?
I can.
All right, Dr. Washburn, I'm going to pass it on to you. I'm sure they're tired of hearing from me.
Okay, well, do we have any pieces of association news or updates? Other announcements? We can throw all of those out at once. Requests?
I have an announcement.
Please.
Okay. You will all be receiving an email later today about this opportunity, but while we have the chance to all talk together on Zoom, I wanted to mention it now. So I am representing Extension on Tennessee's first Food Waste Awareness Week Planning Committee. So on April 4th through April 9th, the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation will be hosting a Food Waste Awareness Week. And so the goal is to just spread knowledge about problems associated with food waste, to decrease food waste and increase food recovery and food diversion. And part of the week, there are lots of activities planned, lots of messaging that's planned as part of this, but one of the activities is a statewide food drive. So I believe it's on Wednesday. The theme of the day is Feed Your Neighbor. And so we're hosting a statewide food drive throughout that entire week. And so we have an opportunity to sort of leverage our extensive reach across the state to provide opportunities for people to donate food. This can go to any of the Feeding America food banks across our state that serve all of the 95 counties, or it could go to a local organization if you have one in your county. So I'd love for you to consider helping with the statewide food drive in some way, whether it be hosting a food drive and collecting donations at your office, or if your office just isn't the best location for that, maybe connecting with another community partner who would be better suited for that. So you will be getting information by email today about this opportunity, and we'll also be hosting a live information session after we all get back and have a few days to get settled after the new year. So I hope that you'll consider this opportunity. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I think it's could be really, really beneficial and really powerful. So that is all. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them now, but we'll have lots of opportunities to learn more. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Johnson. Any questions about that opportunity? Any other announcements or requests?
Yeah, I have an announcement, just a reminder. I'm trying to turn my camera. Any FCS members, our state impact statements are due. I think it's December 31st. I'm not sure. I don't have the information in front of me, but our yearly state impacts are due. So I'm sure all of you are getting the email. So check your emails and follow up with the FCS state impacts for our association. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dr. Washburn, I have an announcement from the consumer economics team. I think you all received an email from myself and Dr. Berry, Marcy, and Barb inviting you to fill out a very, very short 3-question survey just to help us do a little planning. And there was actually a chance to win a $15 Starbucks gift card if you filled that out. So if you overlooked it in your email, go back and look at it. It came from me. It will take you all of 2 minutes to throw in some answers to the survey, and you have a chance for me to send you a $15 gift card to Starbucks. So take a few minutes and do that for us. We would really appreciate it.
I have an announcement about the Farm Family Health and Wellness Program. Registration is trickling in. We just have a handful of registrations. So as we get those registrations in on a systematic basis, we will get that information to the respective counties. And so if you don't hear from us, that means that so far no one has registered from your county. And I know it's getting the holidays, and so hopefully there'll be a major push for participation at the first part of the year.
Thanks, Dr. Fox. I have an announcement about the Extension Health and Wellness Ambassador Program. This is our Master Health Volunteer Program in Tennessee. Back in October, I sent an email to all agents with with a statewide virtual volunteer training opportunity that's going to be starting February 1st. So that email contained an attachment that had program guidelines. And I just want to encourage you, if you have interest in adopting that program in your county, that the ability to have volunteers be trained through a statewide virtual cohort will save you some of the teaching burden and organizational time. Time is narrowing to select those volunteers. So if you have questions, please let me know. There's also a recorded webinar that you could view on the FCS internal resources site for community health. Any other announcements? Well, hearing none, I think we can move on and go to the next slide. And Chris, I'll turn it back to you to close us out.
Thanks so much, Dr. Washburn. All right, coming up on January 20th, we're going to start the new year off right with Dr. Sedges, Dr. Devereaux, Dr. Conrad, and their team with human development updates. That'll be on January 20th when we're all bright and fresh from the holiday break, and we really look forward to seeing you all then. So if there is nothing else, you all, I'm going to say that I hope you have a very, very, very wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of those wonderful things. It's great working with all of you, and we'll see you in the new year. Take care, everyone. Bye.